I'm going to share with you all of the polishing tips that I have that use the minimum amount of tools. Your polishing quality will depend on how you prep your clay piece before firing, the proper firing technique, and the polishing itself, of course. So let's begin by prepping your jewelry piece first before firing. So I have this clay heart here, and it's really uneven and scratched up. We're going to fix it with sanding first. And because of a lot of dust that's going to occur when we sand the piece, I'm going to use a respirator, and I highly recommend that you do that too. I'm using regular sanding paper that I just picked up in the hardware store. I like using 400 grit and 600 grit for further polish. And I also like to cut little pieces of them to make it a little bit easier for me to hold them when I'm sanding small parts. So let's start with a coarser grit. 400 grit is coarser than 600, and 600 is a bit more fine. I'm gonna sand the entire piece, especially focusing on any imperfections and deeper scratches that will be very difficult to get out once it's fired. Now, if you're sanding a 3D piece, your hand with the sandpaper should kind of follow the curve of your creation. Move it along the curves to follow them so that you don't create weird planes and cuts with sanding paper. You can also bend that little piece of sanding paper to be able to get into smaller crevices. Once you start sanding, you will understand how much material the sanding paper takes, so you'll be able to gauge its strength, and you can go a bit light-handed to start. If you accidentally created an angle with your sanding, you can go in circular motions against this angle to remove it and make it rounder again. Generally, using circular motions, especially if your object is 3D, kind of helps you not to create any texture that you didn't intend to. You can use a dry brush to brush off the dust so you can understand if you need to sand any more or it's time to stop. Once I removed all of the big imperfections and scratches, I can move on to 600 grit sandpaper. That one is a bit finer, so it will create a smoother polish on your clay piece. And the process here is absolutely exactly the same. But because you are using a finer grit sandpaper, you will be removing some of the scratches that the previous grit has created, and that way your piece will be a lot smoother and it will be a lot easier to polish it once it's fired. Don't forget any spots and don't miss them, because this is a really important step before you actually fire your piece, and that will determine the quality of your polish later on. If you do have a flat piece, then your life would be a lot easier. You could just lay it on sandpaper and go in sort of like 8 figure motions to flatten the surface and make it smooth. This is the end result for me, and this is good enough to create a really nice mirror shine polish after firing. I like to sand before attaching any finer and more fragile details because it's just easier to handle so that I don't accidentally break them. You can use silver clay paste or clay tack from Cool Tools to attach your parts. I go more in depth about this in my other tutorials. But if you are using silver clay paste, chances are you need to clean it up a little bit before you fire. Once you press two pieces together, a silver clay paste tends to spill a bit and get onto the parts of the jewelry where you don't actually want it. So I like using a damp brush to blend it into the rest of my design. Once the joint is dry, you can also use that sanding paper. It really works if you just bend it in half, so you can use that bent part to sand really small pieces very precisely. Be very careful here because this joint is quite fragile while it's still clay. And if you are too scared to try to file it down while it's still in clay form, I will show you a way you can do this with polishing after firing. Now just let it dry completely before you fire it, because that's really important for the quality of your future piece. The firing process also determines the quality of polish. And this is the tricky part here. You have to get your silver hot enough to fully sinter, but also not too hot to start melting the surface. So what we want to aim for is your piece getting nice orange, salmony orange color, but not red. And at the same time, you want to see the surface of your piece stay in matte. If you start seeing any silvery color or shiny color showing up while you're firing, it means you're firing too hot. In that case, remove your flame for a few seconds to let it cool a little bit and then continue, and try not to overheat it again. Because if it starts getting a little bit silvery, that's okay, but any further than that and it will start bubbling up. And that bubbling up creates texture that you don't want, and it will be very hard to polish afterwards. And this is one of the most common beginner mistakes where you're worried about underfiring your silver and you're afraid it's going to break, so you overheat it and it turns really silver and bubbles up and kind of becomes a bit liquid on top. And we really want to avoid that while still sintering the silver properly. You can see the color that you should be aiming for here. Going in circular motions really helps distribute the heat and not overheat any part of your piece. So to summarize, ideally you want to see the salmon orange glow, and you also want to see your piece having a matte texture. After firing, your piece should still look white and matte and not silver, and that's normal and that's what we aim for. To achieve the best polish, you do need a rotary tool. And skip this wire brush thing entirely. I see it in so many beginner kits and I'm not sure why, but every time I've used it in the past, I just was not able to achieve any kind of shiny polish. It is very rough and it creates a lot of scratches on your surface. You really don't need something this coarse to sort of reveal the silver color after firing. So yeah, use a rotary tool. I use a Dremel, but also there are cheaper options available like the smaller one here. I got it off Amazon for like £20. They typically work the same way. There would be a button to lock your drill bit in place, and underneath the cap there is this cullet, this bronze bit. And this is the thing that holds your drill bit or polishing mandrel or whatever it is you're using. And they would usually come in multiple sizes with your kit. Most of the time when you buy a rotary tool, it will come with a little box of tools and different drill bits that you can use, and also the different sized cullets for different thickness of those mandrels. So you'll just have to choose one that fits the drill bit that you're going to be using. So this little thing is called a mandrel, and it will normally come together with your rotary tool. You will be using it with your radial discs. So these are the radial discs, and I really think they are excellent for polishing. These bristles will get into every tiny space, and this is really amazing, especially for textured pieces. You will be placing them on your mandrel, and the bristles should be directed clockwise. And you will need several grids of them. So depending on your provider, the color code for them may be different. So read carefully the product description because it will tell you which color stands for which grid. I use 3M, that's the name of the brand, radial discs. So for me, yellow one is coarse, blue one is medium, then this pink color is fine, and the light green is super fine. But for you, it may be different. Especially if you're buying them off Amazon, do read the product description because they will tell you which color corresponds to which grid. You want to start polishing with the coarse grid first, whatever color that is for you, and then move on to the medium, and then fine, and then super fine. Now, radial discs won't be able to polish off any really deep scratches, but these will. So these are called silicone burrs. Again, read the description, but for me, the white one is really coarse and the black one is a bit less coarse. I like using them because you can really put some pressure on them because they are rigid, and that way you can really get those deep scratches off your piece. These kind of things also come in the shape of this little circle here, but I like using the cone-shaped silicone burrs. So to put it on the mandrel, you just want to make sure that the cullet fits the thing that you're using, and you just put it inside and you screw the top until it doesn't go anymore, and then you press the button and continue screwing the top until it locks in. I like using silicone burrs around the joint parts because this is where usually most of my imperfections will show. And if I really apply some pressure, this will take off any excess silver and really blend the joint parts into the rest of my piece. Be careful here because that thing is quite powerful, so it can leave marks. So just, be cautious with how much pressure you're applying, but you will be able to tell once you start using it. This is optional, but since you're using it already, you may as well just polish all of your piece. That way it really removes any surface scratches that you weren't able to get out when it was still clay, and that will really make your polish super shiny afterwards. So just go all around your piece and cover it equally, but don't go too crazy here because we'll be moving on to radial discs. To change your polishing bit, you would usually need to press the release button and then screw the top. Then you just need to change your mandrel and screw it back up. With polishing, the most important thing is the order and progression of grids. You always have to start with the coarsest grid and polish all of your piece entirely before you move on to the next one. Like I said, the colors may differ, but for me, yellow one is coarse grid, so I'm starting with it and polishing the piece everywhere first. It will look a bit matte and scratched up, but that's no problem because that will be removed by polishing with the next grids. Spend a good amount of time on each grid, like maybe a few minutes, well, it depends how big your piece is, but the longer you spend polishing with each grid, the better your polish is going to turn out. And it's very important to not jump the order. So if you're using coarse, then you have to follow it up with a medium and then fine and super fine. You can skip the fine one and just move on straight to super fine, but I recommend using 4 because that gives you the really good shiny polish. So now you see me using the blue one. For me, that's medium, and you can already see that the shine is starting to get a little bit better, but we still don't see the full result just yet. The pink for me is the fine polish, and you can already see a nice shiny polish coming through. I do like using the fine before moving to the super fine grit because I do feel like it improves the polish a bit more, but oftentimes the beginner sets will just give you coarse, medium, and super fine, and that's okay. And now the last radial disc, this is a super fine for me. It's a lime green and 3M brand, maybe of course different for you, but you can already see that the mirror shine is there, and the longer you spend at this stage, the more shine you're going to be able to see, provided that you polished really well with the previous grits too. And you can totally stop here. You can see how nice and smooth and shiny the piece is. You can see my whole reflection and my phone's reflection here too. Most of the time I would stop here, but I can show you a couple more things that can further your polish. You can use a polishing compound. I'm using a white superfine polishing compound that is used in the very final stage of polishing to give that extra shine. And I like using it with thread polishing mop. They're really soft and fluffy, and I find them to be great at polishing. Now, the reason I don't often reach out for this is because of this scary warning. I guess it's all chemicals. So do your own research and decide whether or not you want to use it, or maybe you can find some non-toxic one. But I'll show you how to use it just in case. So you would want to start up your Dremel and then just dip it a little bit in the polishing compound. You only need a tiny bit. Less is really more here. And then you just go on and polish your piece. This is very easy, and you'll see the shine improve just a little bit. Honestly, I can't tell that much of a difference because the radial discs do an amazing job at polishing already. But this is just if you want to bring it one step further. And I'm going to show you the result right here. So be the judge if it makes sense to use a polishing compound. I think it just made it a tiny bit better, but honestly I was quite happy with it before. Another thing I found to be surprisingly good at polishing are those jewelry polish cloths that you'd often get with your purchase of jewelry, so you probably have some lying around in your house. So they are already impregnated with some sort of a polishing compound already, which is why they work. And that often brings a really nice shine to a piece. I just added a jump ring and popped it on a chain, and it was done. I hope it helps you, and if you enjoyed it, check out my other tutorials too. Thank you!